What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing a tier list of all the best heroes in Marvel Rivals right now. Really quick, guys, before we get into the tier list, 97% of you guys who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you could leave a sub, that would really help me a lot. I'm trying to reach 500 subscribers by the end of the month, so your sub means everything to me. Also, if you could leave a like, that would really help this video reach other people. Thank you so much for your support. Let's get into it. Alright, boys, so first we're going to start out with Adam Warlock, and I think Adam Warlock is a solid B tier. I think his utility is pretty good. I think he's a really good DPS healer if you want some extra damage instead of having two really strong healing healers. I think he really lacks some healing, so you can't really have him as your only healer. With that being said, his damage output is pretty high. So he's a good secondary healer, but not a very good main healer. Alright, next up we have Black Panther, and I'm going to say Black Panther is in A. He's probably one of the more harder characters to master in the game, but I think if you can get his abilities down, he's really good. Being able to chain his dashes like he can do is really powerful, especially if you can just keep being annoying in the backline. But in my opinion, there's characters that kind of do his job better. That doesn't mean that he's not strong. They're just characters that I think are better at doing what he does. Doctor Strange, I'm going to put in A tier. I think his portal is really strong. Obviously, you can make some really good plays with that. You can portal behind people to get onto points. But eventually, I think as the game goes on, people are going to start being more familiar with those things, and they're going to start reading it a lot more. So while I think he's pretty strong now, I think his position on this list is going to move down over time. I think Groot is S tier. He has a lot of survivability, and if you can play around him and build a comp around him, he gets even better. His walls are really strong, and he can stay alive for a really long time by himself. So that gives you a lot of flexibility in your comp to really play what you want. And his ultimate is really strong. It's basically Zarya's Grav. Alright, I'm going to put Hela at the top of A tier. I think she's almost S, but you really have to hit your shots with her or else she's pretty useless. Her ultimate can be very hit or miss at times, so when it hits, it can be really strong and wipe out a whole team, but when it misses, and it has a pretty high chance of missing sometimes, because one, it's pretty easy to avoid, and two, you can get bursted down really quick. But her damage output is just insane, especially if you can hit headshots. I'm going to put Hulk in C tier. I think he's probably the worst tank in the game, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. He doesn't do a lot of damage, really. It feels like he just goes in, kind of tickles people, and goes out. There's way better tanks at taking space than he does. I don't think someone's necessarily throwing if they pick him, but he's also not a very easy hero to play. So when you mix abilities that aren't really that impactful with a hero that's hard to play, it automatically kind of makes him lower on the list. Iron Man, I'm going to put in B tier under Adam Warlock. Just the problem is I think he's easily countered. Obviously, you can run a hit scan or even Hela to counter him, and he gets shut down pretty easily with that. But if he's just allowed to reign free, he does a lot of damage, and he does it really fast. His ultimate is pretty easy to get at least 1 or 2 kills with, so it makes it very reliable and consistent. But sometimes it feels like Iron Man can just do useless damage, especially if the other team's healers are on top of things. I mean, guys, we even have to say anything, Jeff's going straight to S tier. I mean, he has a pretty decent healing output. He has his bubbles so we can heal from far. His ultimate has the potential to team wipe people. So, I mean, Jeff's just an all-around really good support and probably one of the best supports in the game. I would say his healing output's a little low to be a primary support healer, but he's definitely a really good option for a secondary support healer. Loki, I would say, is also in B tier. I'm going to put him underneath Iron Man. I think it's because his skill ceiling is really high. He's a really good main healer, and he does a lot of healing output, but at the same time, his clones are a really high skill gap thing to manage. So if you have somebody on your team who's not really accustomed to that and they're trying to play Loki and they don't use his clones, his healing output can go from a lot to a very little. Luna Snow is going to go in S tier for me as well. I think she just does the most healing in the entire game out of all the healers right now. She's the best main healer in the game, and I think her healing output is absolutely insane. She even has potential to burst down targets if they dive her, especially if she has help. So I think she's probably one of, if not the best supports in the game right now. Magic is going to be put in A tier, probably above Hela. You could argue Magic for S tier. The only reason she's not is because she's kind of difficult to play. Her sword does a lot of damage, and if she gets in her backline, she can not only be hard to kill, but she can do a lot of damage before you do kill her. If you're facing a good Magic, it's going to feel like she's an S tier because she's one of those type of characters. But I think it takes a lot of skill to master her, and I think right now she sits comfortably at A. So Magneto's tricky because I think Magneto can either go into S if he has a Wanda with him or B. So we're going to stick him in A and do something in the middle. So Magneto, if he has a Wanda with him, his damage output goes up tremendously and he can frag out as a tank. But besides that, he kind of just is a really good poke tank to kind of maintain distance. So I don't think he's a bad pick, but I think he goes from S tier to B tier depending on who you have playing with him. Mantis is going to go in A tier above Black Panther. She's a really good healer. I mean, she's a really good main healer. She does a lot of healing really fast. Her ultimate is really good. And she even has like the potential like Luna to frag out if she has to, if somebody dives her. I think Jeff and Luna are just so strong right now, so it's hard to argue against picking one of them, especially since they have a team up ability together. Namor I'm gonna put in C tier. I don't really think he's that useful. Hela does what he does better, and even Adam Warlock in terms of damage. And his turrets are kinda useless and easy to destroy, and his ultimate really isn't that good either. So Penny goes in C for me. I think there's other tanks that are a lot better than Penny. I think that she can do a good job at controlling things, and she has probably one of the higher DPS outputs of any of the tanks, but I don't really think her ultimate is that great. It's really easy to avoid and doesn't really do that much damage. And I think she can get punished very easily, especially if she gets dove on. She's really easy to burst down fast. So she's gonna sit in C tier. Punisher I'm gonna put in S tier. He simply does a lot of things right. He has a shotgun that can do really good close range damage, and he has an AR that can do good medium to long range. His turret, if you get it in the right position, can burst down people incredibly fast. And his smoke grenade allows him to get out if he has to, along with his grapple hook. And his ultimate is just disgusting if you can get it off in the right positions. Rocket, I'm going to put probably an A, but I prefer to have a Rocket than a Mantis, just because his res is really strong, and Punisher and Bucky are pretty popular and good right now. And his ability to give them infinite ammo and an increased fire rate really helps them do a lot more DPS. And I just think Rocket, he does consistent healing. It's not like a big burst of healing at once, but it's just like you'll consistently be getting a good flow of heals. I mean, do I even have to like say anything for Wanda? She's easy mode DPS. She does a lot of damage. Her ultimate, while it's easily countered, if people aren't paying attention, can easily get a team wipe, or at least guaranteed a double kill. And man, she's just really easy to play. The fact that she locks on and you can burst people down with her right click, I don't know, man. She's just easy, and if you play her, you're a bad person. Alright, Spider-Man is also going to go up in S tier. I think Spider-Man's probably one of the best melee heroes in the game right now. If you can learn his skill set, he's really, really hard to play. I would probably say the hardest character to learn in the game. But if you can learn his skill set, especially if you pair him with a Venom, he has a one-shot combo that if you tag somebody, web to them, uppercut, and then Venom ability them, it pretty much instantly kills any squishy target. That makes him really valuable, especially if you're going to run a dive comp. Star-Lord, I'm going to put in A tier. I think he's probably the top of A tier. He's very close to S. I think the ability to reload his guns when he dodges is really strong, and his ultimate is a very good ult. It can sometimes be really easily countered by their tanks, so you have to watch out for that. But I mean, he's just Tracer, and Tracer is good in Overwatch, and he's gonna play good in this type of game regardless. So Storm is D tier. She's the worst character in the game. I don't see anybody play her. There's no reason to. We're gonna move on. Thor I'm gonna put in top of B tier, simply because I think Thor's kind of pretty hard to play, and his mid game is pretty bad. He doesn't really have a lot to do when the fights aren't engaging in a brawl type distance, and it's really hard for him to do anything that isn't right in your face. But when he's in that position to succeed and he's in those pockets, Thor is one of the best brawl heroes in the entire game. I'm gonna put Venom in S tier, and I'm gonna put him probably above Wanda. I think he's the best dive tank in the game, simple as that. He can stay alive for so long, especially if you know how to use his abilities right. He can be really annoying. He can go on the backline and dive one of your supports before you even have the chance to turn around and burst him down. Venom is really strong, especially if you're running dive, so think about running him if you want to run a dive comp. This one might be a bit controversial, but I'm actually going to put Captain America in A tier. I've seen mixed things on him, but I think that he takes space a lot better than most of the tanks in this game. His ability just to push people back and run in their face with a deflect that they can't do anything about is really strong. He's very valuable, especially if you can run him with dive comps or brawl comps, so he's very flexible. I just think he fits any comp really well, and he's not too hard to pick up and play. I just think his damage output is a little low, but the main reason you're going to pick Cap is to take space and kind of advance your team and get them into better positions, and I think he does that very well. Bucky, I'm going to put in S tier. I think the only thing that holds Bucky back is his gun only holds 3 shots and it's a projectile, but all of his abilities combo really well together, and he has a very high damage output if you can hit your shots. Also, his ultimate is like one of the funnest ults to use in the game. The fact that if you pop your ult and get a kill, whether you get your kill with the ult or afterwards, it resets your ult again, you can pretty much chain kill a whole team sometimes, and it's really fun. He's become one of my mains, and I would say my 3 most played heroes right now are probably Spider-Man, Bucky, and Psylocke. Moon Knight, I'm gonna put the bottom of A for now. I think he's really strong right now simply because people aren't shooting his little things he throws down that can ricochet his primary fire, but I think he's kind of gonna sink pretty low on this list. You're gonna have to be really creative with where you place your things that he throws down, because people are just going to destroy them and burst them down. So I think he's somebody that can fall really fast, but if you play a really good Moon Knight who's creative with their placements, he does a lot of damage really fast, and he has one of the highest DPS outputs in the game if he's played correctly and he's not countered. Psylocke, I'm going to put in S tier, and I think she's probably currently the best DPS in the game right now. She has a high, well, actually, I take that back. There's one more that's better than her, but she's the best dive hero in the game right now. She's a lot like Genji, but better in my opinion. The fact that she has so much survivability and she can burst down targets really fast and still stay alive and not put herself in too much danger is really valuable. And I think if you can get a really good Psylocke on their team, she can carry you to victory pretty much by herself. And her ultimate is one of the strongest ults in the game. Now, Hawkeye, I'm also going to put an S, and I'm going to put him right underneath Psylocke. He's just really good, man. Like, he does so much damage output, and his arrows aren't that hard to hit shots with because there's not that much travel time. So you don't even have to necessarily be that accurate because you don't have to lead your shots that much. And all of his abilities combo really well, man. If you try to dive onto him, he can just knock you back with his sword and then quickly burst you down with his explosive arrow, or just shoot a fast arrow at you and kill you. He's really good, and I expect him to be nerfed, to be honest. Wolverine, I'm going to put in B, probably at the top of B. He's really good if the enemy team is running a single tank comp, because I don't know if you guys knew this, but Wolverine actually does more damage to tanks than he does squishies. So if you're versing a team who's only running one tank and your Wolverine just focuses their tank down the entire game, it kind of disables their tank for the entire game, and if they refuse to switch to a 2-tank comp, Wolverine can pretty much completely win you the entire game. Squirrel Girl, I think she's probably in C. I just think she's not that effective, and that might be a hot take, but I think her ultimate is really bad. I deadass don't think I've seen her get a kill with it one time in any of my games. Maybe I'm just playing with really bad Squirrel Girls, but I don't know, man. I tried playing her and I just thought she was really weak. Yeah, so this is the spawn of Satan himself. This is, honestly, he's gonna go up higher. He's probably the best hero in the game. It's the spawn of Satan. I don't know what to tell you. If you play him, you're a bad person. The fact that he can lock onto people and burst them down in like 5 seconds and still be able to get out and heal himself is kind of insane. He definitely needs to be nerfed, and he's going to get banned every single game at higher elos if he's not nerfed anyway. So I think Black Widow's bottom of A, maybe teetering on B. I just think that Hawkeye is a way better option if you're going to snipe, and even Hela is a way better poke option. You know what? I've convinced myself. I'm going to knock her down to B, but we'll put her at the top. I just think if you're going to poke and you want some long-range sniper-esque damage, you're definitely going to go with Hawkeye or Hela in that case, because Hela can be a lot more flexible too. Like, she can play in the mid-range, she can play in the close range, and she can play long-range and snipe. That's how I feel on that. Cloak and Dagger, we're going to put at the top of A. I think she's really good. She could be an S tier. I just think she's kind of difficult to play, and her healing output is a little low. She does like very minor healing per burst, but if you play her correctly, I don't think that's really a problem, and her ultimate is decently strong. It's one of the weaker support ults, to be honest with you, but it's not bad. I'm actually going to move her down a little bit. I'm going to put her below Mantis. Mantis and Rocket are a little better than her right now. But yeah, guys, that's the tier list. So let me know if you agree or disagree with this list. As you can see, there's a lot of heroes that are in A and S because this game is pretty well balanced. You can make an argument that a lot of people are broken, and if people are complaining that every hero is broken, I'm sorry, but that's a sign of good balance, and that's the place this game is in right now. I would say the only heroes that genuinely need nerfs, well, Iron Fist needs nerfs like yesterday, but everybody else, I would say maybe watch out for Hawkeye being nerfed in the near future, potentially Wanda, maybe Psylocke, maybe Jeff. So that's my tier list. Where do you guys think I messed up? Where do you agree with me? Your support means everything to me, and seeing how my videos have been doing lately has been really eye-opening to me, and I'm really grateful for all the love you guys have been showing me as of late. I'm not going to slow down, so subscribe if you want more Marvel Rivals content and videos. Love you guys so much. Peace out.